I feel kind of nervous for some reason to film today. Something about how I felt with making videos lately, just... I'm gonna talk a bit more about that, I think, in this video, because I kind of want to be a bit honest with you guys, but I think I'm gonna talk about that a bit later, because I really have some questions and some really fun Q&A questions that I'm kind of excited to get into as well. And yeah, this Q&A I guess came very late. It feels like it's been a while actually since I've been sitting down just talking to the camera like this. But it's funny because actually my last Q&A was around the exact same time last year. So it feels like maybe it's becoming a yearly May thing. I don't know. Thank you so much everyone for the questions that you sent me. I really loved so many of these questions, and it really shows how many different people there are on this channel as well. So there are a lot of different questions about very different topics. I am kind of excited to just get started, so I'm just gonna go right ahead. And I decided that I wanted to start with a few of them that are more like rapid questions, because some of them are more easy to answer very fast and some of them are more lengthy. So let's start with some of the rapid ones. So some people asked, how old are you? And I am 28 and I'm gonna be 29 very soon in July. Have you ever visited the UK? Yes, I have. I have visited the UK, and my grandmother is actually from Sheffield. She lives in Norway, but she's from Sheffield, so we have visited Sheffield to just meet up with some family and just see the area, and it's beautiful. I really like the UK. Also, someone asked this super difficult question, which was, what are your favorite books? And you know, I have so many, so it's kind of hard to answer, but I decided that I would give you one of my favorite books, which is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. I really love that book. I think it's written in a very special way, and it's... yeah, it just has this aliveness to it. It's almost the only thing I can describe. I really love books that are written with this feeling of life in them, this aliveness, and it's kind of hard to describe if you haven't read it, but I really recommend checking that book out. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. And Virginia Woolf in general, I really love her, but Mrs. Dalloway is definitely the favorite. And someone also asked, which is kind of related in a way, what are your educational qualifications? My educational qualifications, if you are like thinking about studies and stuff like that, I've been going to literature studies. So we call it litteraturvitenskap in Norway, which is literature science, basically. Yeah, I have a master's degree in literature studies. I also went for half a year, I studied religion, and half a year I also studied Nordic languages and dialects and literature. And I went for 1 year to the writer studies that is in this town. And that was how I kind of ended up moving to this town. Was because I fell in love with this place, basically. In Norway there's 3 main places for studying writing, and it's kind of hard to get in, and they have a lot of applications every year, so I was really lucky that I got to study here. I was yeah, it was a big thing. It was a big deal. Yeah, and it was magical, really. Yeah, another question that is a bit more like lengthy, I guess, but I'm gonna go with the short version here. But someone asked, where did you and Bendik meet? So I trained something for a long time that is called Krav Maga. But it's basically kind of a martial arts, but it's not really a martial art. It's not categorized as martial arts because it's not something that you compete in, and it doesn't really have that many rules because Krav Maga is mainly a self-defense system. It's something that they also use in the military and the police education here in Norway. Yeah, so it's been used, and also all over the world. Krav Maga is actually widely used in the military and stuff like that. Like the thing that I was going to was mainly like a type of sports in a sense, and it was fun. This was where I met Bendik. So we met in Krav Maga training. Yeah, I really fell in love with him. But I'm gonna, if you guys want to hear more of that story, then I'm gonna maybe ask him if he wants to be part of that, because I feel like it's our story, and I don't wanna talk too much about it if that's something that he doesn't want to share. And that leads us to some of the more lengthy questions. And one of them was this question. What surrounding circumstances made you such a confident person? Yeah, I was thinking about this question for a long time, because I was like, like, how do you even know if you are a confident person? And I guess the fact that I'm even asking myself that question means that I'm not. And yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't really think I'm such a confident person. At least not more than anyone else that I know. And I can be confident in some things, some areas, and I can be super stressed out and unconfident in many other areas. Yeah, I can seem confident, I guess. I guess I learned to look and seem confident, but it's not necessarily what I feel inside. One example of that is actually right now, I wanted to announce to you guys that we have launched the podcast. Anna and I have launched the first episode of this podcast that we have been making, and there's gonna be one episode every other week for like a while now, probably throughout the whole summer. Yeah, and we've actually recorded a lot of episodes, and yeah, it's been kind of exciting. You can find the podcast link down below. You can see it on YouTube. We have filmed it. And you can also listen to it on Spotify. So I will link both of them down below, and the podcast name is Freelance and Friends. So if you want to just Google it, you can find it that way as well. Yeah, and I have been really excited to start this podcast and launch it, but now that it's out there, I feel so terrified and super self-critical about it. And yeah, I don't know, it's really, really taking me on a ride these days. The whole issue with feeling so insecure. And I hope that if you guys want to check it out, that you will give us some time, because this is the first episode. It's more of an introductory episode, and we really get into some more interesting topics and conversations later on, I would say. And there's a second episode as well that's coming out in about a week on Monday. If you guys want to see it a bit ahead of time, you can actually go to my Patreon and you will be able to find it there. So patrons will once in a while get some of the episodes a bit ahead of time. So I recommend checking out my Patreon page as well if you are really interested. Then you can actually listen to the first one and the second one right after each other if you want to. So, and we actually talk about a few topics that also was in the questions for this Q&A. So I'm not going to talk about those things here because we actually answered them quite well in the podcast. So one of the questions were, how did you start foraging? And also we talk a bit about what motivates you to keep making videos and what inspires you. So we talk a bit about why we do the things that we do and what actually is the reason for us working with the creative things that we do. And we also do talk a lot about the challenges of working with YouTube and social media. And in the later episodes, we also talk a bit about finding a better work-life balance, which I have been struggling so much with lately. But yeah, so I have this feeling, this double-sidedness right now, where I'm just gonna announce that we have this podcast out there and I want to be super excited about it, but I'm also feeling so low on confidence right now. Like the confidence meter is very low lately, so I struggle a bit to actually put myself out there. And yeah, it can feel a bit tough sometimes when you're working with online things as well. If you don't feel very confident, it's hard to publish a video. It's hard to publish anything, really. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I don't really have any good answers for that. I'm just as unconfident as anyone else, I guess. Let's move on to another question. Do you have another job besides YouTube? Yes, I do. So I am touring with something called the Cultural School Bag every year. I talk more lengthy and more in detail about the Cultural School Bag in my podcast as well. So in the first episode that is out now, you can hear a bit more about how that works and yeah, the pros and cons, I guess, of that work. I would love to hear all about going into cold water as you do. What are the benefits and how it feels? So if you are gonna try cold plunging, I would just give a warning that you should do some research first on what type of health problems that can be bad for cold plunging, because you can actually have a heart attack as well. So just make sure that you are safe to go into the water before you do it. And I winter bathe, I guess, in the river, and it's really cold, like no questions about that. It's really cold, but it gives you such a high. Yeah, it just kickstarts a lot of processes in your body, and I really feel afterwards like I have been, you know, when you've been on a run or you have done some exercise or something like that, it's kind of the same feeling in the body. The reason I do it basically is to just kickstart my mood and my day and my energy, because in the wintertime it can get kind of heavy in Norway with the darkness and cold, so it really helps actually to get through the winter and feel like there is some intensity and energy there still, because everything feels very dormant. I think there's a lot of physical benefits to cold plunging, but I haven't really researched it so much, so I'm not really the person to answer about that. I just really like it, basically. But there's a lot of research that has been done on that, and there's so many cool benefits to cold plunging, if you are healthy though. Are there any creative outlets that you wish you had given more time? Yeah, for sure. Like all other creative outlets other than YouTube, I wish I had given more time, because it takes so much time. But I think especially writing has been something that I've been missing a lot lately. The last years I haven't been writing at all, and it almost feels like I can't write anymore when I sit down to write. I know that I do use a lot of the writing in my videos, because I do tell stories, you know, in the videos. It's storytelling there as well. But it's definitely different from writing, you know, using a camera and this visual world with the videos is very different from just the words on a blank paper. And I talk a bit more about that as well on my podcast, about how writing makes me feel very different from making videos. Writing makes me more connected to my inner world and my thoughts and my reflections and just whatever is going on in here, in a sense, while making videos makes me more connected to the outside world and the light and the seasons and the sounds in the forest and whatever is growing and all of those like outer visual things that are like around me in the day-to-day. I feel so connected to those things when I make videos, and that is also one of the reasons why I love making videos. But I really wish that I could balance the two and have both of them, so that I could both have this inner world and be more connected to that, and at the same time be very connected to the outer world. But it's sometimes kind of hard to actually maintain this balance between the two, and especially since editing and filming takes so much time, it is kind of hard to do both. And I really feel like I don't have like endless resources of storytelling and creativity in me, so whenever I pour all of those resources into my videos, there's not that much left for the writing. So yeah, I really wish that I could do that more, but I know that I would have to cut down drastically on how many videos I make, and really take a step back from that to make room for my writing. And there's actually a question that is kind of related to that, which is, what is one thing that you could change in your life that would make you a happier person? And yeah, I think balancing things more in my life would probably make me a happier person. So being able to balance this work with YouTube better with everything else. Actually, I really think that I would love if I could just hire someone, if I would just have the money to hire someone to help me with some of the YouTube things and manage some of the ideas I have, you know, about making, just helping me with creating a website and creating more online courses. I'm not really sure if I would be able to let go of like the control and you know, that's a different topic indeed. But if I would have the possibility to hire someone, I would at least try, I guess. And I think that would make me more happy, because I would have more time for other things and just for being present in my life. Someone asked actually, how can we incorporate more foraged foods into our diet? And that's kind of a cool question. I think it's really nerdy, I feel like, because I've really been thinking about that a lot. So thank you for that question. I think that it's possible to incorporate a lot of foraged foods into your diet, but it has to be something that feels simple and easy to forage. And it's also very important that you really like the food, because I have at times been trying to forage like tons of plants and stuff, and I've been putting them in the freezer and, you know, making things from them that I would have for a year, just because I wanted to see how much of my diet I could actually get from foraged foods. But the problem was that some of them I didn't really like that much. Like, some of them I really love, some of them are so delicious, but some of them were more like meh, you know, and then I kind of ended up not eating it, and I really had to eat it at the end of the year. You know, I found all of these things in the freezer and I was like, oh no, I really need to eat this now. Yeah, and when it becomes like that, then you will probably not eat it. So I guess finding out what types of foraged foods you really like, something that you really think is super delicious, and just making more of that. So in spring, I very often use things from nature to make salads. So that's one thing that I substitute. And then I use stinging nettle for a lot of things that would normally have spinach in it. So if it's warm, like a quiche, for example, I use stinging nettle, and I don't buy spinach. I also use foraged plants for herbal teas. So I have a lot of plants that I forage, and I dry them and I put them in jars, and I have them for the whole winter. Whenever I want some tea, I have all sorts of flavors. So it's also a way to incorporate it more. And then you can also use berries for jam and for juice, and you can use flowers to make cordials. I have some recipes as well that you can find on my channel. Yeah, so there are a lot of things that you can incorporate, but it's very important that you like it. Incorporate the things that you really feel excited about incorporating is good, I think. Speaking of foraging, there was also a question about what basics you need to start foraging. And I would definitely say that the number one thing you need when you're starting out is curiosity. So just go with your curiosity. Just try to be curious about the plants around you and research, and just, yeah, explore. But if you wanted more of an in-depth answer about like what things that are practical to have when you start foraging and where to begin and how to feel safe with trying out new plants and stuff like that, I can probably make a separate video about that. I just feel like it's a very, very big topic and I can get very nerdy about that, so it can become a very long answer. So if you want like a separate video about that, then please let me know in the comments below and I will consider making a specific video about that in the future. Also, someone asked what inspires me, like what artists or nature or like moments that can inspire me, and I would say in nature, I feel like being in places where I can be completely by myself in nature really inspires me. Also just thoughts that I want to share or feelings I want to convey somehow in my videos can really inspire me. Okay, I can get really inspired to just create a video about a specific feeling that I'm having just without saying the feeling out loud, but just wanting to like convey that feeling through the images and stuff. Yeah, and when you're talking about artists that inspire me, so I talked about Virginia Woolf. She's really inspiring for writing, and also Anais Nin I really love as well for writing. And YouTube wise, I love Jonna Jinton's videos, of course. I really like some other YouTubers as well that aren't really my niche, so like Cara and Nate for traveling, also Catherine Manning for like just business stuff. And actually an artist that really used to inspire me a lot when I was younger. She was a dance choreographer. Her name is Pina Bausch, and she made these types of choreographies that were almost like you call it like dance theater. So it's not necessarily specifically dance, but her choreographies and stuff are amazing. You guys should just try to search for Pina Bausch and then Vollmond, which is like full moon. It's a beautiful work. And I really have to say, my friend Ellie, she has been in some of my videos previously. She's an artist and she really inspires me as well. So there's one question that has been coming up again and again and again on my videos, and I didn't want to address it for the longest time because I didn't want to stir some kind of discussion or something like that, but I really feel like I need to address it because it just keeps coming up all the time and it's kind of starting to annoy me a little bit. Like, if you have asked this question, don't feel bad, like I'm not angry with you, and I do kind of understand where this question is coming from, and it might be coming from some like concern and just like kindness in a sense, but it's just sometimes the way people ask this question. So the question is basically that a lot of people are asking why we're putting so much money and time into our rental home. And also the question is sometimes followed up by like, oh, these landlords must be really happy that these poor artists are making over their home for free. And it's also sometimes like, I would never do something like that, and then exclamation mark and whatever. Kind of like insinuating that we are super naive and that we're stupid to create this home here that we have. Yeah, so there is one question that is asked with like more of a concern and curiosity, and there's this other way of asking that is kind of like, it's okay to ask, but it's also a very aggressive way that people are asking. And when you are trying to make your rental home look nice and people are just constantly telling you that you should never put any investment of time or like love into a rental, you should just buy your own place and do it there, then it just feels a bit frustrating, because I mean, there are so many people out there in this world that cannot really afford buying a home for themselves right now, and like generally, and we are some of them. Like, we right now, as things are, it's a bit of a bad timing for us to buy a home. We will probably do it maybe in a few years, but it's just not really something we want to do right now. And we are not alone. There are so many people out there that really cannot buy a home right now. People in rentals should definitely be allowed to thrive and to create a space around them that is beautiful without others just putting that effort down in a way. And yeah, so I just feel like I want to just defend the renters a little bit, that we can actually create beautiful homes around ourselves and thrive in those places without using a lot of money. What you do have to spend a little bit though is your time. So if you don't want to spend your time on it, then that's fine. But if you have some time and you like to do these things like I do, I really love working on these house projects. It's so much fun. You can actually do so much with a very, very low budget. And some of the things you can do is like buying thrifted furniture, like we have done. We've mostly bought thrifted furniture, or we have actually gotten furniture for free. Built things ourselves with barn planks from the neighbors here, and those things we will be able to bring with us when we move. So those investments aren't going to our house owners, they're going to us. Our landlords or house owners, I don't really know what you call them, but they have paid for a lot of the paint, and they have also paid for some of the maintenance jobs that we have done on the house. So it's not like they're not putting any money into this really, it's just that I really don't want to get into the details about that, because that's kind of their life and it's private in a way. They're really kind people, really generous and really kind people, and they are not like those greedy, scary landlords that you might envision in your head, you know? So I've had some of those landlords as well, and I wouldn't have made over a place this much if I would have had some landlords that I really didn't like. But here it's really felt like it's a give and take all the time, and they really help us out with so many things, and yeah, they have just been really kind. So I really don't feel like we have spent that much money on this, honestly, and we have created a home that we really, really love, and we really want to have a nice home to live in while we are figuring out the house situation. So let's just put that behind us now and we will move on. So I'm gonna end with this one question that I got that was, yeah, really a very different question. There was one person that said, I am currently struggling with a big life decision, and I'm wondering, how do you come to decisions that are right? And I just wanted to say firstly that I hope you figured it out. I know it's a while ago now since you asked this question, and yeah, I really hope that you found a good decision for yourself, and yeah, it's really hard to be struggling with these decisions in life. So yeah, I feel that. I don't necessarily always think that I make the right decisions. I guess sometimes I just think some things are just decisions, and we get very caught up in the feeling like there is a right and a wrong decision. And in many cases I feel like there are just decisions. There isn't really a right or a wrong one. It's like you just make a decision and you go with it. I believe the same thing when it comes to like love as well, that there isn't really a right person. I think there's maybe just a person that you really work well with, and then you choose that person, and you choose that person every day. Maybe for the rest of your life you choose that person every day. And I don't really believe in there's this right person. I usually go with my gut feeling. I go with the thing that makes me the most excited usually, or the thing that feels the most like good, basically, depending on what type of circumstance there is. And yeah, sometimes the decisions aren't super good. Like sometimes they feel like they were, I guess, bad decisions, but I'm not sure if they were wrong, even though they felt like bad decisions. They were just maybe bad decisions, and then you learn something from that too, I guess. Sometimes I think that if I were to die young, what type of decision would I make? I actually think about that quite a lot, so a lot of my decisions are, yeah, kind of like that. I think I want to do this now, and I don't want to wait with this because I might not have another year. I never know, you know, we never know. And yeah, I think that kind of leads us into something that I really wanted to talk about by the end of this video, which is that during this summer, I think I'm not gonna be posting as many videos as I usually do. It doesn't mean that it's not gonna be any videos, but I think I'm gonna try and give myself an actual holiday for a while, because I haven't been doing that for many years actually. So ever since I started with this YouTube stuff, I haven't really taken like real time off. So it's always been this like constant thing where I'm just like on tour or doing some other commissioned projects, and then when I have the time I start right away making another video, and I'm always in that grind almost. And I've just been feeling really tired lately. I've just been feeling so stressed, and after I was super stressed, I got really tired. So now I just feel tired. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I would call it burnout, but it maybe is something similar. And yeah, I need some time where I'm just me, and where I'm just not always me with the camera on me, in a sense. It really is something super exciting to always be filming as well. It's not like it's just a bad thing, and it really makes me so like excited to get up in the morning sometimes that I'm gonna film today, you know. I'm so excited for it, and I'm excited for the editing, and I just really love everything about it, but sometimes it just gets a bit too much. And when I'm just constantly filming and constantly editing, I feel like I don't have any other things in my life that aren't filming or editing, and then my life just becomes this YouTube life almost. And I need my life to also be just my life, you know? It can't just be on YouTube, it has to be here as well. I don't know if I'm making any sense with this. I actually talk a bit about this on some of the episodes of the podcast. I think it's the 3rd or the 4th episode. I go a bit more in depth about this, and it was actually this podcast episode that we had about work-life balance that made me realize that I need to maybe give myself a summer holiday. It's not gonna be a very long one, and I'm gonna be back, and I still love doing this, so don't feel worried about that. I'm not just gonna quit or anything. I think people aren't really gonna miss my videos that much, but if you would miss my videos, then you can actually subscribe to our podcast channel, and you will actually get a new podcast every other week throughout the whole summer. So even though I might not make that many videos on this channel, I will still be making the videos on the podcast channel. So there will still be some content for you to enjoy, and yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy the podcast. If you don't enjoy it, then don't tell me. I don't know. Don't tell me yet. I need some time. I need some time. That's basically what I'm gonna say about this for now. I'm gonna keep you guys updated on it. And yeah, subscribe to my Patreon as well if you wanna get some updates over there. Yeah. That was the Q&A for today. I am going to go outside now because it's beautiful weather and it's a beautiful warm day today.